Live 12 Eastern time every week, Sundays. Thanks for tuning in. Today we're talking about the truth about fat. If you've been paying attention, we did carbs, protein, and now we're hitting fat. All the macronutrients. So stay tuned. Camille's about to kick us off.
All right. So let's go through today about fats, what it is, how it functions in our body, and then we'll end with some myths and kind of debunk those for you. But first things first, fat is a macronutrient, just like carbs, just like protein, and the body uses it to provide energy for itself. So it's maintained in your body's structures and functions, and it serves that purpose. So fats also are known as dietary fats. So if you heard that term, really that's what we're talking about today is the dietary fats, the fats that you're consuming through food. So unlike, vitamins and minerals, which are micronutrients, fat's a macronutrient, which means that to sustain body functions, to build muscle mass, which is what we're here to do, you need to consume large quantities of fats. So let's talk a little bit about fat.
Large quantities?
I would say large quantities.
I love it. All right, so you heard me say it before. Listen, y'all, there is essential fats. There's essential proteins. There's no essential carbs. If you don't eat fat, you will die. Essential fats.
All right. So fat as a macronutrient is 9 calories per gram of fat. So you can see just right there, it's the most nutrient or calorie dense, rather, macronutrient out of the bunch.
Yep.
Carbs, protein, only 4 calories per gram, whereas 1 gram of fat is 9. So just something to keep in mind. That's why, we say it's a macronutrient. You need lots of it.
Right. And I think that's kind of why it's got a bad rep. It's double the calories, 1 gram compared to protein or carbs. It's more than double.
Yeah, that's definitely something to consider. I know I just had a client start contest prep, and we started tracking those macros, and all of a sudden they were like, whoa, I never realized I was actually consuming that much fat in my diet. Should I be concerned? And so we'll kind of talk through that because the answer is yes and no. It comes down to what kind of fat are you consuming, because there's 3 different kinds of fat. So there's saturated fat, there's, your unsaturated fat, of course, and then the bad fat, the trans fats. So, all right. So let's talk a little bit about fats in our diets, because like I mentioned before, yes, it's an energy source, but 2, it's also responsible for your cell membrane structures and how they're formed. And then also hormone production.
Hormone balance.
Yeah, hormone balance. And how well you can actually absorb other fat-soluble vitamins like vitamin A, D, E, and K. Yeah. But primarily today, we are going to talk about dietary fat and the function it plays in muscle hypertrophy, because that's what this channel is all about. It's like growing muscle size, getting those gains.
Making the gains.
So why don't you kick us off, James? Let's just talk about the role of fat in hormonal influence.
All right. So in order to keep your hormones in check, you got to have fat in your diet.
I actually learned that the hard way.
You want to explain?
Yeah, so I was going through a contest prep, wasn't losing weight, losing weight, and then kind of fell victim. This was way before, first time trying to diet down. In fact, it wasn't an actual contest. I think I was doing a mock prep. I was running alongside of James one of the times he was competing, and I pulled all the fat out of my diet thinking that in doing so, that would help me get past that plateau. It did the opposite.
Yep.
I hit the wall hard. I could not lose any weight. And then James was trying to figure out what went wrong. He's like, wait a minute, you pull all the fat out of your diet? No wonder you can't lose weight.
Yes. And I've had several clients come to me saying, I can't lose weight. I can't lose weight. I don't eat 1 gram of fat any day of the week. Why can't I lose weight? And I go, bam, right there.
That's it.
If your hormones are not in balance, your hormones are out of whack, you might as well forget about losing weight, gaining weight, doing anything you want to do until you get those hormones in check. Now let's talk about what the fats do for the hormones. And we're talking about saturated fat here right now. Saturated fat, helps with testosterone production. And it helps with growth hormone production and IGF. All those hormones help with building muscle, recovering muscle,
right, repairing,
rebuilding muscle, etc., etc. And without saturated fat in your diet, you're not producing any of those hormones.
Yeah, I mean, just let that sink in for a moment. It's like we really need those anabolic muscle building hormones in our body to make those gains.
Yep.
So falling victim to the no fat fad diet is bad. Like it's completely bad. Like that will tank your gains faster than anything else for sure.
100%. You
100%.
take all the fat out of your diet, you're eventually going to die, like I mentioned earlier. Most people won't go to that extreme. They're going to get some fat in their diet before they die. But you're going to be out of whack, out of energy, hormones out of whack, dragging all day long. Something's wrong, but you can't figure it out. Well, you're missing fat in your diet.
Absolutely. I mean, and point number 2, we've talked about, what's the body's main energy source? It's carbs. But if any of you have been through some really grueling workouts, like I don't know about you guys, but my leg day usually takes a while. Once I burn through those easily accessible energy sources, your body switches to fat to use as an energy. So it will call upon those fat reserves, break them back down, turn them into what they need to use for energy. So you have to have fats readily available in order for your body to use it as an energy source.
If you want to function at 100%, you better have some fats available.
Absolutely. So it's definitely something to take into consideration. I've even seen, even insulin production and sensitivity, fats play a role in that. So, having excess fats available in your body or extra body fat can actually reduce the insulin sensitivity, which then in turn kind of affects how the nutrient delivery happens in the membrane. So like as you're trying to build muscle or repair it, it can impede that. So just something to keep in mind, like you do want to stay lean. You want to make sure you're getting those good fats. What else?
It's just like any other macronutrient. You don't want to overdo it. You don't want to underdo it. They're all essential. They all, optimize your body. They all work in your body. They all work together. So you don't want to do too much or too little of any of them, including fat.
Yeah, I mean, fats are essential for maintaining cell membrane integrity. Like you want healthy cells in your body because we're asking a lot of them. Like when we're asking our muscles to contract as well as repair themselves, you don't want compromised, cells. Like you want everything healthy and running optimally. And so if you cut all the fat out of your diet, that's not going to be possible. Yep. So definitely something to take into consideration.
There's also an anti-inflammatory effect that fats will give you, specifically omega-3s, omega-6 fatty acids. Listen, I can tell you from experience, the weeks we eat salmon, the weeks I eat salmon, I recover faster than the weeks I do not eat salmon. I guarantee you that. I can put a guarantee on that. And your fish oil pill, for whatever reason, doesn't do it.
It's Sammy the salmon.
It's the fish. It's the omega oils in the fish, the salmon itself. And I can tell you, every single time I eat salmon, I recover faster.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's all just about having balance, like to make sure that you're including the healthy fats, you're getting the protein, you're getting the carbs. Yes, we're presenting all these topics as separate things, but they all go together. You really do need to strike that balance. And it's essential if we're talking about maximizing muscle hypertrophy. So definitely prioritize foods that are going to provide you a nice balance between all of those.
Yes, and there are different kinds of fats. We kind of talked about it earlier a little bit, but let's get a little deeper into it. The worst fat and the fat you should not eat is trans fat. That's basically a fake fat. That's a man-made fat.
Right. So you're not going to find that in nature, basically.
Correct. So anything unprocessed isn't going to have trans fat in it to begin with. Then you got your healthy fats, your saturated fat, which has a bad rep, but it shouldn't really. You shouldn't eat too much saturated fat. But you should have saturated fat in your diet. You're going to find that in animal meat, specifically red meat.
Yeah, butter, cheese, even. And then your unsaturated fats, there's both mono unsaturated and poly unsaturated. So your mono is going to be stuff like olive oil and avocados.
Fish,
Mm-hmm.
any pink fish, any fatty fish. And you want those fats in your diet. There's a plethora of health benefits that the healthy fats give you: cardiovascular health, joint health. You recover faster, anti-inflammatory. I mean, there's even more than that. I'm just rattling off the top of my head right now.
Absolutely.
But there's a plethora of healthy benefits from the healthy fats, and you should definitely have a good portion of healthy fat in your diet consistently.
And then the polyunsaturated, that's going to be like your fish that we're talking about, like salmon and nuts. So I know James likes the natural peanut butter. He's like, yeah, healthy fats. So these are all good, like heart healthy options, that you can consume. Let's talk a little bit about some myths. So like one of my clients, I was telling her, like, you need to have fat in your diet. And then she said, well, then why are there all these fat-free options, no fat, low fat diet? Like, how did that actually come to be?
I told y'all, fat got a bad rap. Somewhere along the line, fat got a bad rap.
So it was actually, I think, close to the 1970s and in the 1980s. So low-fat diet foods gained popularity during those decades. And I think it was just a lot of influential health organizations at the time were promoting the idea of reducing fat intake would lead to healthier outcomes, which really maybe there's a grain of truth to that, but I think people jumped on that. They figured that they could monetize that and make money off of that idea. And then it blew out of proportion. Because really what they meant is that you need to eat a balanced diet, and consider the fact that, the 1 gram of fat's 9 calories versus the 4 for the other stuff. And that's really where they were going with it, but it got blown out of proportion.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. Somebody figured out a way to make money out of this. I can market this as fat-free and people are going to buy it because they don't know any better.
Yeah, absolutely. Another myth people say is like, if I eat fat, I'm going to get fat. I hear that all the time.
Calories in, calories out.
Yeah. So
it has nothing to do with fat. It has everything to do with calories.
Good question people ask me all the time. Well, okay, James Camille, like, well, what is the appropriate amount of fat that I should be consuming in my diet?
Good question.
So I would recommend anywhere from 20 to 35%, just based, an average. It's always going to depend on like your health background, what your goals are, what you're training for. But a good rule of thumb would be 20 to 35% in my opinion.
Yeah, 20, 30% is pretty much a sweet spot. I would never go under 15% no matter what. I would never drop it below 15% of your macros.
Don't do it. Learn from my mistakes. Even our contest prep clients that are doing a bodybuilding show, I maintain them at 30% up until maybe the very end where it's just, I'm reducing calories, so I do have to consider the fact that they're eating, 9 calories per gram of fat. But even then, I'm not taking them below that 20% typically.
Never want to go below 15. 20 is probably a better number, but definitely don't go below 50%.
Absolutely. So, those are the main things that we wanted to cover today. Like, just don't fear the fat, I guess. And you're not going to eat fat and turn fat. I think you just need to be mindful of what you are putting in your body, like what kind of fat that is. And
if you want to fear fat, that's okay. Just make it trans fat.
Yeah.
Don't fear the good fat.
So use that coconut oil, have that avocado, have nuts in your diet, have those fishes and cheese. Like those are all really good things to incorporate.
Yeah, like I said, there's many, many, many health benefits from these healthy fats. So don't fear the fats, yo. I don't know. Like I said, I think the bad rep came from the double calories compared to the other macros, but
Yeah.
You definitely need fat. If you want to function at 100%, you definitely need fat in your diets.
Definitely.
And you should be getting the healthy fats anyway. There's too
Yeah.
many health benefits that come from the healthy fats that you should not cut them out completely. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think that wraps up our fat video, Truth About Fat. And actually, that wraps up the series because
Yep.
we've covered truth about carbs, truth about protein, and now fat. And I think, the one thing I hope that you guys have taken away from this is that you have to have moderation. You have to have balance between all three of those macronutrients.
A lot of hype is about diet, and Camille hit it right on the head, is because I can sell you something.
Yeah.
The hype about protein is because I can sell you protein powder.
Right.
The hype about low fat is because I can make something low fat and then market it to you as low fat. So just keep in mind, these things are out there marketed, they're hyped, they're marketed to make money. It's not necessarily the healthiest thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would challenge all of you guys to spend like 2 or 3 days and just track your macros. I think for someone
that anyway.
Well, you should, but if you haven't, it can be eye-opening. You could be like, oh my gosh, I've been eating like 60% fat, or I've been eating like 80% carbs and like shortchanging my protein. Like, it is just completely earth-shattering when you do it for the first time. You have so much more of an appreciation for food and what you're putting in your body. Yeah.
It's a good point. If you're not tracking, you should be, number one.
Right.
And if you're not, it can be definitely an eye-opening experience, especially when you first start.
Yeah.
And you can see any holes in your diet that you were previously unaware of, perhaps. You're wondering why you're gaining weight when all you drink is a Starbucks drink, right?
Oh, wow.
Well, check the macros in that Starbucks drink.
Exactly. So hopefully these 3 videos help you get those gains. I can't stress enough the importance of diet and nutrition when you are trying to build muscle or lose weight.
Yeah.
It is essential.
It is, but don't overcomplicate it. Keep it balanced. Keep it healthy.
Keep it simple.
Keep it simple. Yeah. You don't have to overhype the diet. We're not trying to sell you anything, so we're not going to overhype the diet. I'm going to quote Menser once again, get what you need.
Right.
As long as your needs are covered, your nutritional needs are covered, you're good to go.
Yeah, I think he even says like most people are overnourished.
Yes. Most Americans and Canadians are overnourished, according to Mike Menser, and I agree. It's because, most of it comes from the hype of you need to eat this much protein, so everybody's cramming down the protein because why? I can sell you the protein. If you tuned in last week, your muscles are 70% water, but nobody hypes water, right?
Right.
Your muscles are only 22% protein, but it's hyped up like crazy, right? Because I can sell you protein.
Right.
I can't sell you water.
All right, y'all. Well, this channel is for you, so please keep dropping those comments. We've been filming a lot of special request videos for you guys. We love doing that. So let us know where your challenges are and how we can help you best.
Please.
Yes.
We appreciate the requests. Believe me, we do. We're here for you, and when we get a request, we're like, yes.
So, all right. Well, keep tuning in every Sunday, 12 Eastern time. We're here for y'all. Bye, everyone.